E-L-G-S-E-S. The mayor of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the birthplace of modern democracy in the United States of America, failing the daily IQ tests. She is really something. And their team, what are they called? The Elgses. The Elgses. E-L-G-S-E-S. Public school is not their thing. Education is not their thing. Not at all. Now, I played that audio for you on Friday because she had, maybe even on Thursday the first time. Soon as she said it, we played that audio for you because the dim-witted Democrat mayor of Philadelphia, she is really something, trying to lead a chant of Eagles, E-A-G-L-E-S, and instead it's E-L-G-S-E-S because of dyslexia.
E-L-G-S-E-S, Eagles!
Ah, yes. After flubbing the name of the biggest sports team in her own city, Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker was able to earn herself some redemption during a pep rally for the Eagles on Friday, you see, because Parker went viral for her poor attempt to spell the team's name, as she ended up spelling the word E-L-G-S-E-S. Not very good. She redeemed herself at an outdoor rally for Eagles fans held in Love Park, downtown Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, you know, before the team hosted the Washington Commanders in the NFL championship game on Sunday, where the Washington Commanders did a horrible, terrible job, just an awful job, and they didn't win. But, you know, as somebody who grew up a Bears fan and a Cubs fan, there's always next year. There's always next year for the Washington fans. Now, so she then went on to lead a new chant, and we have the new chant for you because this is the new chant. Just amazing stuff. Honestly, Philadelphia mayor introduces new way to spell Eagles after NFC championship. And because Commanders fans troll Philadelphia mayor after major Eagles spelling flub, and she did become the laughingstock. Now, CBS Fake News reported yesterday, Philadelphia mayor introduces new way to spell Eagles after NFC championship game. So the Philadelphia mayor Sherelle Parker, has a new way of spelling Eagles. And she came out yesterday to try to, right her ship and not look like such a buffoon. And here she comes now. When she goes to say, how do you spell Eagles? And she goes to spell the words, 2 words, Super Bowl. And she gets through the first word, and then her staffers jump in and start spelling along with her because they're not sure she's going to get it right, and they don't want her to look like a complete buffoon for a second time.
It was just amazing, and I'm excited. And guess what I love today?
What?
On today, guess what I learned? Let me tell you how you spell Eagles. You want me to tell you how you spell Eagles? Can I tell you Philadelphia?
Yes.
S-U-P-E-R-B-O-W-L.
She took a deep breath.
Hey, Eva, but we're so excited on today.
She took a deep breath before getting to bowl, and her staffers looked panicked. There was a quick flash of panic in their eyes, and like, oh, no. She got through super. Maybe we should help her get through bowl in case she mangles this, too. So there she is, Sherelle Parker, the Democrat mayor of Philadelphia. She's a WOC, and she's out there spelling S-U-P-E-R-B-O-W-L. That's how you spell Eagles. Now, as Michael Piercy pointed out this morning, that is still not how you spell Eagles. I don't think the school kids of Philadelphia are doing much better than the school kids of Chicago.
S-U-P-E-R-B-O-W-L.
Wah. We shouldn't have women with annoying voices take positions of power in American politics. I think, call me old-fashioned. Isn't that great? All right, so she is just fine. And they won. Boy, did they win. They won like nobody's business. They sure did. And the Washington Commanders really didn't look very good yesterday. They didn't really show up to win. They were not playing. There were a couple flashes where they were looking okay, but not so good. Only if you count the offense and the defense. Then that's when they didn't do very well. Pretty amazing stuff. So that's Democrats everywhere. Now, speaking of Democrats, let's get to Margaret Brennan of CBS News, because Margaret Brennan of CBS News is the hostess of Face the Nation. And she is, do you think she's related to John Brennan? I'm trying to figure, she might be related to Penitentiary Face, John Brennan. It's possible. But she, yesterday, had the Vice President of the United States on. And I'm not sure, I don't think it was live. It might have been pre-taped, just based on a couple of things they said. But here comes Margaret Brennan, who's a Democrat Party apparatchik and not a journalist. And she's got J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, on. And the first thing now, again, this is Sunday, might have been recorded before then. Sunday, no, that President Trump and J.D. Vance they took the oath of office on Monday. So this is 6 days later. And Margaret Brennan of CBS wants to know why grocery prices and gas prices aren't lower in 6 days, because you guys said you're going to lower. Here we are. Why aren't the prices lower? And she's just a Democrat Party bootlick, a Democrat Party shiller. Her name is Margaret Brennan.
You campaigned on lowering prices for consumers. We've seen all of these executive orders. Which one lowers prices?
We have done a lot, and there have been a number of executive orders that have caused already jobs to start coming back into our country, which is a core part of lowering prices.
True.
More capital investment, more job creation in our economy is one of the things that's going to drive down prices for all consumers, but also raise wages so that people can afford to buy the things that they need. If you look at our slate of executive orders.
So she jumps in and cuts off the vice president. So prices aren't going to come down. Well, that's the Democrat Party's talking point. Thank you for parroting that, Margaret Brennan. Thank you for regurgitating that, and he didn't get in, who is it, bringing pickup truck, Dodge Ram, pickup truck manufacturing back to Detroit. That's jobs, high-paying union jobs, American cars. Also, Stellantis plant reopening in Illinois, cars, more pickup trucks, jobs, made in America. And that's already happening inside of the first week. And isn't it interesting? Margaret Brennan didn't say, well, I did notice that Stellantis is coming back to Illinois and a plant going into Detroit to build pickup trucks. And those are jobs. But when do grocery prices come down? Now, she's aggressively assailing him, attacking him, cutting him off, being rude, unprofessional, impolite. But when you're a Democrat, that's, the apex of professionalism, to cut off J.D. Vance, to talk over him, not allow him to finish while you're pumping the Democrat Party's talking points. Her name is Margaret Brennan.
Prices are going to come down, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? The president has been president for all of 5 days. One of the main drivers of increased prices under the Biden administration is that we had a massive increase in energy prices. Donald Trump has already taken multiple executive actions that are going to lower energy prices, and I do believe that means consumers are going to see lower prices at the pump and at the grocery store.
But when you ban developing, exploring for and building infrastructure on energy to bring energy prices down, as Joe Biden and the Democrats did for 4 years, it's going to take a minute to restart that, because it's not like flipping a light switch. But the Democrats who are anti-energy independence, and that's good news for Putin and Russia when it comes to selling his oil and natural gas. It's good news for Iran when it comes to selling oil and natural gas on the global markets. But it's bad news for the United States, for our economy, for jobs, for energy prices, for heating prices, heating grandma's house, for filling the gas tank in your car, all of this. Remarkable stuff. Well. I don't want to complain out loud about personal things, but I brought my car into the shop on Saturday because my engine was making a loud noise that sounded like the fan. The fan was an issue. And I just was texted by the dealership here who said, oh, yeah, we've inspected your car. There are 5 things wrong with it, 5 things, and that'll be $4,230 if you want to get your car back running, $4,230. I brought my car has 20,000 miles on it, $4,230. I'm tempted to start talking about the dealership by name, but I won't. All right, let's get back to Margaret Brennan doing the Democrat Party's bidding for them because that's what they do. I grew up in a CBS News family, and I got to tell you, and I worked in the news business, CNN, for a long time. The news media is a tragic embarrassment. They're worse than car dealerships. They really are. Amazing stuff. So J.D. Vance trying to explain to her that, you know, we were sworn in on Monday. You can't really think we're going to have energy independence, lower gas prices, and, you know, you got to have gas prices down before grocery prices come down. But she's yelling at him and talking over him and interrupting him because the Democrat Party told her to.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
And while we've done a whole lot, we can't undo all of the damage of Joe Biden's presidency in 4 days.
Well, there are a lot of things that contributed to higher energy prices, and there was record oil
just Joe
and
Biden.
gas production.
Yes, Joe Biden did many terrible
things
things to lead to an increase in prices. I agree, Margaret.
No, but all the things you experience at the grocery store are what people touch and feel. That's what you were talking about, bacon on the campaign trail.
Of course. of course.
Those things. When do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get to the grocery store? It comes on trucks that are fueled by diesel fuel. If the diesel's way too expensive, the bacon's going to become more expensive. How do we grow the bacon? Our farmers need energy to produce it.
And she actually tried to claim, which Democrats occasionally do, that there was record oil and gas production under Joe Biden, who vowed as a campaign pledge that he would reduce our oil and gas production. And then he did the opposite, and the news media applauds him for it when the opportunity presents itself. When she goes and does an interview with the ACLU, she'll applaud him for keeping gas prices high so people used less of it. These people are news media. Just amazing. Well. Now, J.D. Vance then on Face the Nation asked about birthright citizenship, because the Chinese have made a big industry out of this. They fly pregnant women here to give birth in California. Then their kids have U.S. citizenship. Then they go back to China. And later on, they'll take advantage of, the seeds they have planted here. J.D. Vance.
If you come here on vacation and you have a baby in an American hospital, that baby doesn't become an American citizen. If you're an illegal alien and you come here temporarily, hopefully, your child does not become an American citizen by virtue of just having been born on American soil.
Honestly, that's something we got to fix. It's not, 1789 anymore. People don't come here on wooden ships from big oceans. They fly in on 777s in first class in cocoons ordering champagne. It's a little different now. Brennan.
There's a very basic principle in American immigration law that if you want to become an American citizen and you've done it the right way, and the American people in their collective wisdom have welcomed you into our national community, then you become a citizen. But temporary residents, people who come in here, whether legally or illegally, and don't plan to stay, their children shouldn't become American citizens. I don't know any country that does that or why we would be different.
There are other countries that have birthright citizenship. They're not the United States of America. They don't have people flooding in by the millions. Mostly they're countries that people want to leave. Brennan.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by...
country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. No country says that temporary visitors, their children, will be given complete access to the benefits and blessings of American citizenship.
But Margaret Brennan is a Democrat Party activist.
America should actually look out for the interests of our citizens first. And that means, again, if you're here permanently and lawfully, your kid becomes an American citizen. If you're not here permanently If you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and don't plan to be, why would we make those people's children American citizens permanently?
And we know that that may not be the case right now, and that's why we're having a discussion about changing that, because it's a dumb policy. Do you understand now, Margaret Brennan? Somehow I doubt it. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous generation model with earned, thousands of five-star reviews online, became a bestseller in no time at all. This new Eden Pure Thunderstorm uses two technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air, removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and a whole lot more from the air, helps get rid of any odor at the same time, and no filters to have to buy and replace over and over again. Thunderstorm is only this big. You can hold one in your hand. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Trash can, cigarette smoke, smelly shoes, the teenager's bedroom, musty basement. Nothing can match the power of the Thunderstorm. And any smell will disappear in just seconds. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You can put one in your basement, your bedroom, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. So go now to EdenPureDeals.com on Al Gore's amazing internet and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris and the number 3. Yes, sir. Yeah, our news media. This is when it's good to be a Democrat. She's a fluffer, not a journalist. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. All right, we don't have a lot of time. It looks like a quick point. Let's go to Richard calling from Manassas, Virginia. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Gracias. Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'll be fast. I have Mexican, my in-laws are all Mexican-American of course, on my wife's side out in California. I have an aunt who tried to tell my wife that ICE is independently funded, part of the federal government, and mostly from donations from the Ku Klux Klan to go after illegal Mexicans because they hate them. And I was like, oh, my God, I cannot believe people believe this, but they want to believe it.
Every element of that is absurdly wrong. She should be deported. Yes. Wah, 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 wah. The Democrats are, I think, would it be fair to say all mentally ill? I think that would be fair. Salon Magazine. Left-wingers up the yin-yang. And when I say up the yin-yang, I mean that literally. The headline is, Surviving Political Grief. And they have political grief in quotation marks. : You're not alone, and there is a path forward. It's political grief. And the article begins, Donald Trump is now the 47th president of the United States. I now understand how the Democrats started the first Civil War. I never quite understood. It was they wanted their slaves. Now they want their illegal aliens to, clean their dishes and what else? Mow the lawn. Democrats are always talking about what illegal aliens do for them, like cleaning the dishes in the back of the house at restaurants. So Donald Trump is now the 47th president of the United States compared to the horrible things that will happen in America over at least the next 4 years. The weeks between Election Day and his inauguration may be remembered as the good times. I tried to enjoy that reprieve while it lasted. Now, he was shot through the ear once by a filthy Democrat would-be assassin. We've had 4 presidents assassinated. 3 of them were Republicans by Democrats. One of them was John F. Kennedy by a communist who, if I'm not mistaken, also on the left, even though in America the left is represented by the color blue and not the color red, the only country in the world where that's the case. So, amazing stuff. And so I tried to enjoy the reprieve while it lasted. It was not all that successful, he says. The shadow of January 20th and the cruel coincidence that it fell this year on Martin Luther King Jr.'s Remembrance Day, who was shot in the head and killed by a Democrat Party presidential campaign volunteer named James Earl Ray. You filthy Democrats. Hung over us all. No, it didn't, but that's okay. King was one of American history's great defenders of democracy and human rights. Then why did a Democrat campaign volunteer shoot and kill him? Trump is a committed enemy of those values. Wait a minute, he's calling the President of the United States, who was already shot once and a second assassin grabbed with a rifle outside the fence line at a golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. And Trump is a committed enemy of those values. But aren't they saying that Trump called the American people his enemies when he didn't? Remember, the last time they did that was last week, but never mind that. Millions of Americans who voted for Kamala Harris, low IQ theater, and who believe in American democracy and the common good. You didn't vote for Kamala Harris if you believe in American democracy and the common good. Remain collectively stuck in the various stages of grief. I can really only recommend self-immolation as a remedy at this point. That grief is made even more painful, they're in pain, by the fact that tens of millions of other Americans are jubilant at Trump's return to the White House and his vows of revenge against, quote, the enemy within, end quote. But he didn't say that he would seek revenge against the enemy within. That didn't happen. And Democrats, they repeat this stuff with fragmentary quotes, which the news media dutifully reproduce for them. And we had a caller today talking about this too. They just believe whatever they want to believe, and it's completely berserk. You know, like amazing. Richard, with his wife is Mexican American, and what was it? His wife's mother, who was saying that ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, is not funded by the government, but by the KKK, which was, again, a Democrat-created organization. See Nathan Bedford Forrest, Democrat Party leader creating the KKK. Only Klansman I ever met was a Democrat senator named Robert Byrd. He was the exalted cyclops of the Democrat Party. But everything they believe is wrong. And Richard saying that mother-in-law, I think it was his mother-in-law, saying ICE is funded by the KKK and they only come after Mexicans because they hate Mexicans. Are Mexicans black? Because, it's just everything they know is wrong. Everything they say is wrong. But these idiots at Salon Magazine, they're in a state of grief and they're anxiety-ridden, and then they parrot the false quotes. Oh, they're good people on both sides. Good people on both sides. And he vows revenge against the enemy within. Show me where he said that, would you? Because I've been looking for that. I've searched for it. I can't find it. A colleague recently observed to me, he's a writer, that journalists and other public voices, and he doesn't have the plural of journalist, it's just that journalist and other public voices, it should be journalists, no editors anymore, who have tried to warn the American people during this time of crisis, you're having a sexual crisis, are something like homicide detectives who must document and investigate terrible events with little power to control or prevent them. I think self-immolation really is the way out for you. I really do. It is grinding and emotionally difficult work that often feels futile and can lead to PTSD. What do you think PTSD means in this case? I know S is sexual dysphoria. There it is. Substance abuse and mental health issues. Too late for your mental health issues, honestly. So they're grieving, and it's Chauncey DeVega. Chauncey DeVega has a lot of mental issues and shouldn't be published in the pages of Salon magazine. But this is your Democrat Party today. And I don't know how many times the man has to be shot through a portion of his head before you take your medication and calm down, or self-immolate, one or the other. Just amazing stuff. Man, oh, man. Also, speaking of Democrats, you see the Associated Press. Orchestrated attack is the headline. On Portland elections office shatters dozens of windows, police say. That's what the police say. And they write, a group of hooded and masked people broke dozens of windows and spray-painted anti-government graffiti. That's their way of trying to say it's conservatives because it's anti-government, right? On the Multnomah County Elections Building in the Portland, they got Portland Democrats there. They're all left. Portland police called an orchestrated attack. Well, why are they hooded and masked? The Democrats created the hooded KKK, and the masks, they mandated everybody wear the mask because of the Wuhan Red Death, the Chinese. The attack happened before 2 p.m. Suspects fled as police arrived at the office, which was not occupied at the time. Sure. It indicates or demonstrates that I would consider to be an orchestrated attack on this building, Portland Police Chief Bob Day told reporters at a press conference. It was about 8 to 10 folks about. You have video, you could probably count and then tell us how many there are. They were on the scene for probably 2 minutes, so they definitely showed up with a plan and were gone just as quickly after they did the damage. The graffiti was anti-establishment and anti-government, he said. This is the way of the Associated Press trying to imply that it's conservatives because they're anti-government. No, you guys were burning and looting the police stations and the courthouses in Portland and shooting young African Americans at the CHOP or the CHOD or whatever it was, the CHUD. It was one of those things where they were shooting and killing people, and they were all Democrats. Yeah. At this point, we are not suggesting that it was directly related to the inauguration. See, because it happened on Monday, on Inauguration Day last week. They didn't get around to telling us about it until Friday. So just amazing stuff. Referring to President Trump swearing in Monday as the 47th President of the United States, it's important to remember that we have seen these types of attacks regardless of who's in office. Yeah, that's a generous understatement, letting him off the hook. So it'll be lefties, but when the lefties are arrested, if they ever are arrested, that won't be front page news, and there won't be a press conference about that. Amazing. All right, we have more stuff to get to as well. Oh my gosh, look at the time! Holy cow, I can't believe it. Now I just want to because Michael, let's go to 8A because we were playing J.D. Vance with the left wing fake journalist at CBS News, Margaret Brennan. And I just want to refresh your memory because it was Margaret Brennan that was the so-called moderator of the vice presidential debate that rudely and because she wanted to demonstrate her political bias, cut off J.D. Vance's microphone while he was trying to respond to her slanderous and false fact check.
So there's an application called the CBP One app where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that
Hey, wait, she turned his microphone off.
The audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to.
So that was Margaret Brennan cutting off, and it wasn't what's his name again? Everybody's forgotten. Tim Walz. Tim Walz, who was the VP running mate of Kamala Harris. Where's he? Did you see he posted a picture on social media the other day of his dog sitting in front of a fireplace, and he's by himself, very lonely indeed.
I've not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times.
There he is. There's Tim Walz. By the way, the savages of Hamas are releasing hostages at a trickle, and the mother, soundbite number 10, the mother of one Israeli hostage that was released, her name is Orly Gilboa. Orly Gilboa, Israeli woman whose daughter was taken by the savages and held for 470 days or so, and the Israeli hostage's mother, Orly Gilboa, on why this happened.
Thank you, President Trump, for everything you are doing for our hostages. If anyone can bring world peace, it's definitely you. And we are confident you will do whatever it takes to get us there.
Then President Trump thanking President Trump, not Joe Biden. It didn't happen while Joe Biden was president. And it's time to go get the savages, too. The savages should not be allowed to wander the earth freely. And so we got that. But a wonderful mother, Orly Gilboa. And I'd like to note that we're not hearing from any of the released hostages, young women who have been abused and tortured and abused by these savages, and we're not hearing from them. They're not telling their stories because certain people, civilized people, would become irate and want to respond very, very harshly. Now, I'm running up the clock again on myself. I can't believe I do this every day. Stephen A. Smith, you know Stephen A. Smith? He's a multimillionaire broadcaster. He's a lefty. That's why he's a multimillionaire broadcaster, because he's a lefty. He's not very articulate. He's not the brightest guy in the world. But he was on the Bill Maher show because he's an African-American man who speaks for the Democrat Party. And he's there to attack Trump. But he can't help but say out loud, the left are the really insane people here, and the reason Trump is elected is because, we are insane and our friends are insane. Stephen A. Smith.
The man was impeached twice. He was convicted on 34 felony counts. And the American people still said, he's closer to normal than what we see.
Exactly.
Left. That's what they're saying. He's closer to normal. Why? Because something that pertains, when you talk about the transgender community, for example, and you're talking about the issues that pertain to less than 1% of the population, the Democratic Party came across as if that was a priority more so than the other issues.
No kidding. And men in women's prisons and men showering with your daughter in junior high and stealing your college girl's trophy for volleyball and swimming and everything else. And you telling us that men are women because you've got sexual issues that I'm not really willing to deal with at this point. Stephen A. Smith.
What resonated with the voter? What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf? They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back into the White House.
That's why they're what? That's why they're behind home, and that man is in the White House. Stephen A. Smith.
You look at the networks right now, they're talking about, look at it, this is the latest, look at him, here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing, and he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's really it.
That's really it. He made campaign, and this has really got the press confused. Wait a minute, he's doing what he said he was going to do on the campaign trail? They don't recognize that because their hacks never do that. Like Joe Biden and energy, and Joe Biden and his foreign policy experience, Joe Biden and illegal aliens, Joe Biden and gang members. They always do the opposite of what they say they're going to do, and that's what the press expects. So they're confused. Of course, they're very easily confused by a whole range of things, aren't they? Yes, they are.
he's closer to normal than what we see.
Exactly.
Left.
Our new CIA director, former member of the House of Representatives, John Ratcliffe, over the weekend talking about the Wuhan Red Death, which came out of Chinese Communist Laboratory in Wuhan, China, where they have biosecurity level 2, and it should be biosecurity level 4. And it got loose, and they tried to blame the local food market, and that was a big lie. And Anthony Fauci lied to us about it. And now the CIA director, we learned over the weekend, CIA came to the conclusion with some weasel words that the source of origin of the Wuhan Red Death was the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China. But now the CIA is like, I don't know if we want to make that public or not. Well, you're all fired, and we got a new guy. John Radcliffe is his name.
Part of what we have to do is we have to restore Americans' trust in our own institutions, like the intelligence community and law enforcement, and that includes the CIA. And, one of the things the president stressed, the purpose of the CIA is to protect Americans, to keep us safe from foreign threats and foreign adversaries. But we also need to be truthful with Americans. And
that would ruin everything. Now, what would John Brennan do if he knew you're supposed to be truthful with Americans? John Ratcliffe and the Biden people lied to us.
So I had the opportunity on my first day to make public an assessment that actually took place in the Biden administration. So it can't be accused of being political, and it does assess. The CIA has assessed that the most likely cause of this pandemic that has wrought so much devastation around the world was because of a lab-related incident in Wuhan. And
they're still saying most likely, though, because, you don't want to go out on any limbs or anything. The CIA, well, maybe Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. And maybe the Wuhan Red Death, where they were tampering with bat-borne viruses and doing gain-of-function research. But, we wouldn't want to go out on any limbs or anything.